the Mineral Products Association and British Precast Health and Safety Awards. We're here at Hill's Shorncote Quarry alongside the Cotswold Water Park, a site of special scientific interest created from former quarries. The theme for this year's Safety Awards is Safer by Sharing, Safer by Action. We didn't have the awards last year because of COVID, but for 2021, we're back, bigger and better than before. And we've got lots of information to share, and we'll be celebrating the action you've taken to make this industry healthier and safer. You may remember that this time last year we met online to launch Vision Zero, the industry's commitment to keep everyone safe and well every day. And these awards recognise the work that's been done to embrace Vision Zero, and we're highlighting the action that's been taken to prevent those high consequence incidents signposted by the Fatal Six. To begin with, let's hear from the Chief Executive of the Mineral Products Association, Nigel Jackson. Nigel, welcome to our Health and Safety Awards gravel amphitheatre. It's great to be back, isn't it? And good to see this partnership this year between the MPA and British Precast.
Absolutely. We were gutted last year that we couldn't do the awards, although we did the conference online. So it's fantastic to be able to get back to work, and it's brilliant that we've got the new partnership with British Precast. We had one, but this is going to be deeper, more profound, and I'm sure it's going to be beneficial for everybody.
And we're back bigger and better than ever, and things do look a bit different this year, don't they, because we've got some new awards.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the benefits of having if you like, a pause in the normal progression of the event gave us a chance to reflect on what we'd learned over recent years and say, well, maybe have we got the right awards for the operating environment that we're in today? Consultation with the members, it was quite obvious that we could probably reshape and redefine the scope of the awards, and that in itself might attract, new innovations and new ideas, and I think it's there to be seen.
Well, if you were with us last year, you might remember we launched Vision Zero. So Nigel, are companies embracing Vision Zero?
As best we can tell, yes. I mean, we've produced an enormous amount of material and product to help the members embrace it. We launched it a year ago at our virtual conference. We gave the members a shot in the arm in March with a lot of new documentation, and as far as we can tell by the requests for more information, there's certainly, as best we can tell, yes. And the encouraging thing for me is that people are saying it. They're aware of the values, the strategies, and critically the Fatal Six. I mean, the Fatal Six now is an embedded part of the language of the industry, both within our membership and within partner organisations. That's really encouraging.
Well, of course, our theme this year is Safer by Sharing, Safer by Action. Why did you pick that?
I think it's all very well to talk a good game, but you've got to walk a good game, and the difference is significant. We've got stacks of great ideas that we've accumulated over the years. I was trying to work out how many films that we generated from previous conferences. It's in the hundreds now, and of course people aren't always going to refer back to that, but we keep drawing on that. The important thing is learn the lessons of the past to avoid some of the problems of the past, and we should all have a better future. So the critical thing is getting people to deploy the best learnings. All the MPA can do is look, listen, gather up the good ideas, and then share them with the membership, and then encourage the membership to look and read and then lead in the light of past experience. I believe that's happening.
Well, stand by as well, because later on we're going to be focusing on some of the young people doing great things in this industry. Why have you decided, Nigel, to focus on the next generation as well this year?
Well, I think it's well understood that not just our industry, but many of the heavier industries have got something of a crisis, skills crisis looming, with people retiring, people choosing to leave the industry. one of the problems we have is in an economy which is 80% service sector, that the heavy side of the economy isn't a natural go-to place for a career. So there's a huge challenge there to get people to think about the engineering, let alone the quarrying and the mineral products sector. But what was quite clear from those people we do have in the industry, that they want to be ambassadors and advocates for the industry too. So one of the things, and this came from them, is why don't we, put the spotlight on some of the young leaders of today and tomorrow. And I mean, it's thrilling to see. I think we've had 37 companies participate in the scheme. We've got the thick end of 140 awards, 136. We've got 25 young leaders have been nominated by their companies to be celebrated and showcased. I think it's fantastic.
And even Nigel was young once, weren't you?
There's a rumour.
Now, what about the common themes that we've got coming up in the awards? Have you spotted a common theme this year running through some of the awards we're going to see?
Well, the fatal six is definitely detectable in a lot of the submissions. I think the other thing which is quite obvious is that the sort of innovation, the call to arms on innovation that we've made over recent years is coming through. The use of technology, mobile phones, drones, all of these tools which I think are very powerful in literally capturing situations on the ground and then enabling you to communicate them with social media, intranets and all these other tools.
And are you confident that this industry is doing every single thing it can to make sure people are healthy and safe when they come to work?
I think the industry's head and heart are in the right place. As we all know, where you get into difficulty is the day in, day out application. And I don't think there is any industry that's perfect. But that search, that ambition for Vision Zero, I'm convinced is in the head and heart of the industry. And I think we're getting better. And I think we will get there because the evidence is over the last 4 years, for example, we know that we've had no fatalities of employees reported or contractors. Tragically, we have at least 3 third-party fatalities. But the evidence of the last 4 years is that it can be done. Now, doing it at scale forever, that is a huge task, not just for us, but for all sectors. But I do believe the evidence is there that it can be done. And I think all of the work that's been developed, with the members, for the members, because they're the intelligent souls here, we're just enablers, is putting together an arsenal of tools and toolboxes, toolkits, which, if employed and acted on, really will help us get there.
And Nigel, what would you like people to do, having watched this awards ceremony today? What do you want people watching to do after they've seen all the films today and all the awards?
Same as every year, really, is to look and listen and think about what you're seeing and think about how you can take that and use it. I am absolutely convinced it's virtually impossible, if you do that, to not go away with an idea which you can share with a colleague, which may actually lead to less harm in the workplace and could avoid a fatality. So I think the important thing is to use it as an opportunity to convert something which has been proven to work and then apply and adapt it in your environment for the good of your colleagues.
Well, Nigel, thanks very much for the time being. We'll hear from you later on after we've had our awards ceremony.
Thanks very much.
Safer by sharing and safer by action is our theme for the awards this year. And this is the perfect opportunity for people working in the industry to share the action that's being taken to reach that MPA hard target of 0 reportable incidents relating to the fatal 6 by 2025. One idea that you see today that you then implement in your workplace could prevent someone getting seriously injured or even killed. Let's hear now from the Mineral Products Association Chairman Simon Willis. I met up with Simon to get his thoughts on Safer by Sharing, Safer by Action. Simon, first of all, great, isn't it, to be back with the awards?
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? Because this is the highlight of the MPA year, and we missed it last year, and it's fantastic to see so many people excited about being back for these important awards.
And what's your message straight away to people who might be watching us on the computer, maybe in the mess room, in the office, in the canteen? What's your message to people watching?
Just watch and learn. I'm sure that we'll all learn something from today, because there's so many fantastic ideas out there, and this is a great opportunity to bring all those ideas together. I'm going to learn something today, and I'm going to make sure that I take it away and do something with that learning.
And what about sharing? What's your personal feeling about sharing knowledge?
I haven't got all the answers. I'm absolutely convinced I haven't, and Hanson, the company I work for, hasn't got all the answers. And health and safety is something that there's no competitive advantage in it. It's something that morally we've all got to share. We've got to understand what other people are doing so we can copy them, imitate them, and quickly make people safer.
And of course, the theme this year is Safer by Sharing, Safer by Action. In an ideal world, what would you like to see when somebody's watched what we've got on offer today?
Well, there's two things. I mean, first of them is get away from that idea of not invented here. Learn from what other people are doing, but then take action. There's no point going away from today thinking, that was very interesting, and then doing nothing. So take it away and implement it on your site or in your business tomorrow.
And you're a top man in the industry. Let's just talk about why you feel it is extremely important to get that health and safety culture right in the industry and in your own company.
We've all got that moral obligation. The easiest way to think about it is we've got a moral obligation to everybody we work with to make sure that they go home safe and well at the end of the day. Yes, there's a real strong financial and a business imperative as well, but for me, the most important one is the moral one.
And Simon, what about personally sharing yourself? We're at Ardingly, this asphalt plant here today in West Sussex. Do you share with the people here? Do they share with you?
It's two ways, exactly. Hopefully I can come here today and say, from my experience of what I've seen in other asphalt plants around the country or around the world, I've seen some things that I could share with them. But I'm absolutely convinced that just watching and listening and talking to the people who are doing the job every day, I'll learn something from them, something that I can take away and hopefully put into the Health and Safety Awards next year.
And a bit later on, we're going to be talking about leadership. And I think when we talk about leadership, part of that is having the leadership to empower people in the industry. What do you do to make people feel comfortable so that they can say to you, hey Simon, something's wrong here? How do you foster that kind of relationship with the workforce?
I think the way I think about it is we're all equal in this and we've all got the same objective. So we all want to make sure that we don't get injured or hurt physically or mentally, and we also want to make sure that our friends, our colleagues, our visitors to the site, so we're all equal. And so everybody on this site and everybody in Hanson has got, in my opinion, a moral obligation to me to keep me safe, and I've got a moral obligation to keep them safe. And that's the way I try and explain it to people so that they are totally empowered to actually have that conversation with me, to tell me what I'm doing and to listen to my thoughts as well. So for me, empowerment means making everybody realise that they've got an equal responsibility, and I will respect and encourage them to help make Hanson and the wider industry a safer place.
Simon, we're going to hear a lot about Vision Zero today. What does it mean to you personally?
Well, it's a simple concept that we've got this moral obligation to have zero accidents and injuries on our sites. But for me, it just tells people where we're heading for, and then they can work out and learn the steps that they can make to take towards it. We see loads of great examples today of where companies and individuals have taken those steps towards Vision Zero.
Now, something else we're going to talk about today is safer by design and road safety. two really key areas in this industry, and we can see that. Well, we're standing here, we're seeing lots of lorries and lots of equipment that's obviously been designed with safety in mind. So what are your thoughts on just how important those two areas are?
Well, Safer by Design is an opportunity for us to share information to actually improve across the industry the design of the equipment that we use. And if we work together, then the manufacturers will start to listen to us and they will change their specifications and the way that they design the equipment. Road safety is another big area for us. A significant number of our really serious injuries come from road safety. People and large machinery don't mix, and so we've got to be very careful about segregation and work together to actually improve our road safety.
Of course, in the last 18 months, this industry has had to deal with COVID-19, and the pandemic, of course, has been the biggest health and safety challenge of our generation. What do you think this industry has learnt dealing with the pandemic?
I think they've learned that they can deal with these things. It was a huge change to us. We worked out what to do, we communicated it widely, and then we shared the information. Again, the MPA companies were working together. There was forums organised by the MPA where people shared their best practice. Nobody had got the right answer because it was a completely new challenge, but together we worked it out and we kept our people safe.
Now, coming up, we're going to see some good examples of people working together, collaborating and sharing and taking action. And of course, this awards ceremony and the conference is a big team effort. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a team effort anytime, but with the challenges of COVID, it's been an even bigger challenge. And so thank you to everybody who's worked really hard to make today happen. And I think, as we said, it is about sharing and it is about taking action. And this is a great example of when we all come together, we can share that knowledge and we can drive action.
Thanks to Simon Willis, Chairman of the MPA. Safer by Sharing, Safer by Action is the first awards celebration where the Mineral Products Association and British Precast have formed a formidable partnership to tackle health and safety. It was an opportunity to update the awards based on your feedback. The awards recognise those companies and individuals who've taken action on the ground and shown strong leadership by sharing their good practices and innovations and demonstrated their commitment to Vision Zero. Many of these entries relate to the elimination or mitigation of hazards associated with one or more of the fatal six, the high potential hazards responsible for 94% of all fatalities in this industry. We've got 8 new award categories: a Fatal Six Award, the Eurobitume Award and the Young Leaders Award to encourage the future generation. We've kept the individual awards and of course those top awards, the John Crabbe Trophy and the Sir Frank Davies Trophy. And we've had some pretty impressive entries this year. It's also great to see more British Precast members participating in the awards. It's been a difficult time because of COVID, and the experience of the pandemic has underlined the importance of cooperation, sharing, leadership and communication to keep people healthy and safe. The judges, as always, have had some tough decisions to make, and we're grateful to them for their time and expertise. We're also extremely grateful to our sponsors. In that tried and tested way, we're going to keep you guessing as to who the winners are, and our winners are going to be announced at the end of today's business. To begin with, let's see who's in the reckoning for the awards in our first 4 topics. These entries highlight how companies and individuals are taking action to achieve Vision Zero, everyone safe and well every day. Here are the nominations for the award for Safer Production. in-house redesign of an existing bucket conveyor system to eliminate operational issues.
What we had before was a flat conveyor and an incline conveyor. The incline conveyor was a bucket conveyor, so it had sort of 4-inch sides on it, and then the flat conveyor would transfer onto that one to take it up to the top of the bin. And it's the transfer point really that was our main problem. Most late shift we were at least having to attend one night to fix it and try and keep it going. Where the transfer point is, you're actually going into a confined space. The black hole, as we used to call it, and then also the spillage side of it where we were breaking a belt. The belt's up high, so we were having to have a cordoned area underneath it. We then come up with the idea of bending the conveyor like we have, but obviously the challenge we had then is bending the conveyor the wrong way, is how do you keep it down, and this is where we came up with the idea of the wheels eventually. Yeah, so the solution come with was to get rid of the two conveyors, to get rid of the transfer point, which is always a problem, always creates a problem with spillage and guards, and then the one conveyor with the bend in the middle is the challenge. The actual black hole now, we don't even go in there anymore, we don't need to. There's one return roller underneath on the bend of the conveyor that just needs to be checked on a six weekly check. The actual cleaning of the plant, because there's no spillage now, that bit of the plant stays a lot cleaner, which then gives you access underneath to then maintain the rest of the plant. So there's certain jobs now you can do with the top half of the plant running, which you couldn't do before because of the spillage issue and the cordoned off area.
Implementing an improved approach to setting the blast danger zones, governed by mathematics and using software technologies.
When we blast, we implement a danger zone in the surrounding area. This is an area where the quarry controls that no personnel can get into. It's an area that's safe away from the rock projectiles. Originally, danger zones were planned out talking with the explosives supervisor and the quarry manager to determine a zone they thought was safe for their blast that they have coming up. Commonly, this would be the extent of the quarry boundary. It would be an area that's easy to patrol and allow them to ensure no uninvolved personnel are in the danger zone. So EPC have now started to use rock projection calculations and formulae to come up with a spreadsheet which predicts where the fly rock will go. So utilising information such as the burdens, the spacings, the hole diameter, the explosive density, all of that put together calculates how far we predict the material will go, and using that alongside the knowledge of the explosive supervisor on site, we can then implement a safer danger zone. The use of this tool will generate safer blasting. It will highlight areas of concern that might not have been covered, and if we can eliminate those spots, we're removing people out of any risk of rock projection, and that's our goal, for zero harm.
Eliminating a blockage point and the regular use of highly inflammable release agents in an asphalt feed system.
The chute was at 50 degrees, and to clear the blockage, it would usually be one of our fitters or a yard man would have to carry out the isolation and then remove covers and manually clear the blockage out. On a good production run of 3 or 4 hours, we would expect 4 blockages. It just had to be, we had to find an engineering solution to take the people away from it. Well, we removed the incline chute and replaced it with a vertical chute and a high-speed, what we call a slinging conveyor. The conveyor runs a lot quicker than a standard conveyor to carry the material away. We're on a maintenance weekend this weekend, that's why some of the guards are removed and the access has been opened up around the conveyor. We made changes to the control system to allow the operators to control the flow of material onto the belt. The occupational risk of people having to be exposed to the hot material, the repetitive manual task of cleaning the chutes out, that has been removed. This was commissioned beginning of April 2021. We haven't had a blockage through material since then.
eliminating fatal 6 risks including mobile plant and pedestrian interaction, strikes by falling objects and work at height by the use of drone technology.
Well, using drones to carry out phase profile surveys in the quarries allows the shot firer to carry out the survey from a very safe position from the top bench. So in essence he's away from all the inner workings of the quarry, he's away from where the loading machinery are in the front of the face, and so it reduces or minimises his interaction with any mobile plant. On top of that, it also looks on the manual handling side of things, whereas before traditional laser profiling methods, shot firers would have to carry a set of tripods as well as a laser profiler, which is quite a heavy piece of equipment, over which can normally be uneven ground as well if it's working in an active working area.
For our blast design, before any of the rigs drill any of the shots, we need to come out and scan a face and design where the holes go so we have the correct burden and spacing throughout the whole blast. Not every face is just straight, you have cut-ins here and there. With the drone, because we're using photogrammetry, we can fly around, get all these the bits that pop in and out. Again, once we run it through and we have that digital model, it's far better than what the laser was ever producing. Because we have that model there, we can best position holes to try and minimise where the holes are going to be in that clay, which again will lead to safety. Throughout this whole process with the drone and having our technology with the software and everything over there, it's all round, it's making the whole blast design process a hell of a lot safer than what it was when we were using the lasers before.
Conventional steel guarding systems on conveyor lines presented problems including high initial cost, weight, corrosion, poor noise attenuation and dust control.
Because we knew if you trip in a conveyor, the potentiality you come in contact a moving part is very high. So we do an assessment of the guarding. When the problems arise, when the spillage arise, blockages happen, these guards tend to get damaged and it's very difficult just to get them back in place. The manufacturing involved to get them back in place is always not cost effective, and the manual handling issues and the problems is an issue that we want to cut and we take out of our process. So we decided just to choose polyvinyl chloride material. In my hand is DSM, so it's a very heavy duty with an internal mass, but we find that it was sufficient for our operation. We have behind myself, you can see a guard that has been fitted almost 2 years ago, and still we have no single damage on any punctures on the material. The fixing is much simpler than standard guarding. Obviously we designed the safety seats with inspection hatches. In some occasions we have clear windows, PVC windows, as the one you can see behind me, but this solution wasn't perfect for every application, so we have to develop this solution and implement where we have the transparent windows, fabric mesh, heavy duty resistant fabric mesh, that at the same time it will be covered with PVC cover so the dust can come out. Our opinion it is when you build a new plant, you build in a different way. Nowadays conveyor designs are different, but for this side that they are 10, 15, 20 or 30 years that they really cannot redesign all of their conveyors. That's a perfect solution just to address yesterday's problem, bring it to today's standards.
Our next category is the award for safer maintenance and housekeeping. Here are the nominations. The challenge for FM Conway was how to safely refurbish 2 bulk bitumen storage tanks that were around 100 years old.
The first thing was empty the tank out, and it was there's no drain plug on it, so we had to manufacture pipe work to actually suck the remaining that we couldn't get out in the tank.
So when we want to get into that tank to actually clean it out, there are significant risk of explosion if you start to use hot works or flame cutting.
So it was decided that we would use this water jetting cutting system to cut out a larger hole so we can have a a full flow of air, and it was monitored and measured for the first week of the job to make sure we had the proper monitoring system in place.
The actual tanks themselves, because the bases were rotten, we'd planned to actually take the base out, repair it, and go at least 1.2 metres up the sides of the tanks. That's where the corrosion was at worst, around the annular ring that supported the tank. So the plan was to actually support the tank in its entirety off of the ground, and we calculated the actual feet and the distances required to support that tank. So we knew what the actual stand required was to support the whole tank off the ground while we removed the base in the first instance. In total, if you was to put everything together, it's probably one of the highest risks that we could actually, or an activity that encountered the highest risk that we possibly could, and it had never been done before. I think the most important thing is when you undertake a project of that scale and that level of risk, is have the accident investigation before the accidents occurred. So actually identifying the risks is vitally important.
Conducting regular inspection and maintenance work on the brick kiln entailed risks relating to work at height, manual handling and slips, trips and falls.
As a major structure, we do have to inspect the kiln on a regular basis, and this involves us taking a scissor lift inside and visually inspecting everything from top to bottom. Previously, before we had the system put in place, we used to have to either get a double extending ladder and climb up to look, or we could put a scissor lift in. We'd have to put the scissor lift in, we'd have to physically lift it in with a fork truck into position. Quite hazardous, not good practice, and very, very time consuming. One of the dangers we have on our plant is actually getting from one side of the kiln to the other. There's a large pit that the mother car runs into. Traditionally, our employees had walked across the frame of the mother car itself. We did actually have an incident when somebody slipped and fell, which is the instigation of this project. Initially, we wanted to address sort of moving the scissor lift around and the access across from the other side. So as a dual product, we had two platforms fitted, one either side of the mother car, and a walkway with handrails on, and access down into the pit on the one side. And that initially addressed that part of it, but it wasn't ideal. To put the steel ramps in, it's a two-man lift, you're carrying it across rails, placed in place, and we decided we could do something that actually travelled with a mother car and a fixed platform to marry up to take it off of the ramp. So that's when we came across the aluminium hinged units we have on now that permanently stay on the car, and this marries up to this arrangement down here with a small platform, so it gives us a smooth, shallow run straight on and off. We installed roller shutter door to give us access from this side, and we had the ramping system we designed so that everything's fixed in place. It's just a case of lay the ramps down and drive on, and we can leave the footway in place. And in terms of risks that we associate with this job, it's had quite an impact on reducing the fatal six. Certainly working at height, because we have a proper bespoke scissor lift that's under our control, it's our piece of kit. Secondly, the manual handling with no physical lifting heavy equipment such as scissor lifts on and off of platforms. We've not got people struck by moving objects. It's driven on, it's all done in a safe, controlled environment.
Periodic cleaning of asphalt deposits from the inside of a wrap mixer was conducted manually and involved entry into confined space. The need to isolate machinery and the operative being exposed to silica dust, hand-on vibration and noise.
The inside of the wrap dryer gets built up with material. When any maintenance tasks have to be carried out in there, it has to be removed. Traditionally in the past it's been done with the fitters with Kangos, and a lot of hard work. My colleague Derek Buckley, through a contact in the industry, came up with a company that came up with a high pressure cleaning system for doing it. A very, very high pressure pump is set up downstairs. They bring a hydraulic hose up, again very high pressure hose. The hose is entered here. They set a series of frames up inside, and off of in the centre of the dryer is a tube. It's about 2 metres long, and there's 4 cutting heads on it. So they set it all up, and then there's 2 nozzles on each cutting head. One turns it and one does the cutting. They take 95% of the build-up out, and it is back to bare metal in all places. Inside the dryer there's components that we call lifters that need to be changed routinely. On a good maintenance weekend with guys digging it out with Kangos, we would be lucky if we got 6 or 8 changed over a 2-day shift. We had the hydroblast done, and in 1 day we changed 34. No halves at all. There's just the tools usage they were using, but there was no digging out to be done. Obviously it was done quicker, so the guys were in there for less time. It was just an absolute win. It was.
Developing a robust system using geolocation and logging to ensure that every asset would be covered within a survey programme.
After an incident locally at Wesley, and in the next month another incident in AI, it had become quite clear that we were missing some structural inspections. From there we had to try and find a way that we could consistently have a plan where the inspectors come to site, they could find the assets, and we could check before they left if everything had been covered.
There wasn't really an asset register as such. It was almost just the manager would roughly know what was here. The area manager asked me if I could come up with a solution to this. After a bit of looking around, I came across the Google Earth. So this is Wesley Quarry Structural Survey. We've managed to list all of our assets on here. It also comes with a list. So if you click on here, it comes with a list along the side.
Definitely improved it for us. I'd have to say 100%, because I look back over a couple of reports and there's an item that's been missed off for a couple of years and then appeared again.
So we can click on things and then you can add notes also.
We're now using it for lifting equipment. We're using it for, we have a tunnel here at site, so that's marked up on it. We've stretched it out to the tips and lagoons, and even just to underground services. So currently we had a drain blocked, we'd never known the drain was there. It's now marked up on that map. The fact it's free means all the companies can use it and all the sites can use it. And the one advantage to it is Google automatically update the photo for you. So we're not having to try and get photos upgraded when we change plant. We know in a couple of years you get that automatic upgrade. So adaptability is there for sure.
Remember, the awards in this section highlight the excellent work being undertaken in health and safety in our first 4 topics. Our next nominees are in the running for the award which recognises the action being taken to protect pedestrians and to avoid accidents with the many different types of vehicles operating on site. This is Fatal 2 of the Fatal 6, and accidents involving pedestrians and vehicles account for 19% of all fatalities in the industry. The aim is to protect workers, contractors, suppliers and visitors at busy sites with lots of different products at multi-locations. Here are the contenders then for the safer management of pedestrians and transport on site. Improving vehicle and pedestrian safety, particularly at night, on a busy 24-hour site.
Yeah, we've got, being a large site and loading trains, we do use larger equipment. So the smallest loading shovels are 988s, and we've got a fleet of dumpers taking material. So there's a lot of footfall in this area, a lot of machineries moving, and this really is why we wanted to address some of our pedestrian management. So crossing at this particular area, there were a lot of signs, so there was a lot of visual blindness that you couldn't particularly see the transport enough, they couldn't see you. Whilst there was a small barrier to stop you walking into the road, it really relied on you trying to get eye contact with someone in a large machine for hand signals and gestures, hopefully not to be misconstrued. They would then stop and you would cross, and for me, there was too many areas of greyness that we needed a defined process that, as you'll see, we'll hit the button, it will tell us that the lights will change, much like pedestrian crossings. For us, we want it to be as close as it is to the highway, so you'll see signs around site replicate to the highway because you and I both know them already. So the system itself, we will press the button, it will go through a process of changing the traffic lights for the road from green to red. It will actually then change the walkway, which is projected down onto the road, and it will change the colour of those lights, and it also gives us some visual indications, some projected signs to say this is a walkway, the cross, do not cross area. And some of the benefits from that as well is as you come into low light, into the darkness, it highlights and it glows up. And also, if you happen to have mud on the road or something, some debris, this is the uppermost layer, it's projected, so it's a projected walkway onto the road.
Improving vehicle and pedestrian safety by undertaking a comprehensive review and redesign of traffic management on site.
You never felt comfortable with what was happening on site, you know, with that interface with the transport and the pedestrians.
I think one of the major problems we had was in this area here on my right, we had the block haulier queues. This all stemmed from there not being any good waiting area for the block hauliers. They'd often queue all the way down back past this lane and even spill out onto the main road at the front of the site.
And we also had issues with loading out on the main stockyard.
There was nothing stopping tippers from driving straight in without notifying the shovel driver. And it was also an active two-way traffic system which contained both hauliers and aggregate tippers.
So there was quite a lot of stuff that we had to try and tackle in that phase one of the improvements to the site. As part of the project, we did like a VPMP audit. What really stood out straight away from the front gate was information overload, if you like.
So in terms of tipper and tanker access, we've installed a motorway style sign as the initial thing, so as soon as they come into site they know exactly where they're going, they're not having to wait in long queues. The installation of the barrier across the entrance to the aggregate yard, this ensures that only the shovel driver is in control of who enters his yard. He's completely safe, he can be comfortable to work in his own environment. We also previously had tippers and tankers on a two-way route with hauliers. This has now been reduced to a one-way route which goes all the way around the outside of the site, halving traffic along that route, preventing the degradation of the road during the winter seasons. We moved the car park over to the other side of the site. This freed up a large space for us to use for a haulier waiting area. We've actually increased the number of hauliers that we can get onto the site now, being within the site boundary from around 2 to 6.
Making a busy site with over 60% of near misses and dangerous incidents involving vehicles safer.
2 years ago, we recognised that over 60% of our incidents and dangerous occurrences were related to forklift trucks, to mobile plant, and that has led to a lot of investment and focus being placed on improving our pedestrian management, our traffic management, upgrading our forklift fleet with new safety equipment. Again, in recent months, when I visit all our sites, there's new signage, health and safety signage everywhere we go, which is making it so straightforward, so clear to people, to visitors, to our employees, where the hazards are, where we should be walking, where we can keep ourselves safe.
Last October we started with a safety campaign which is still ongoing and will be ongoing for the future. The safety campaign involved making pedestrian walkways, gateways, crossing where the quarry mobile plant. Some of that plant is up to 50 and 60 tonne weight machines. You could have pedestrians stepping out of anywhere previous to this happening, and this is really, I think, a very, very successful task so far. Me and my team's priority every day is to be safe during working hours, get home safe to the loved ones.
Next, it's materials. The sheer volume of materials handled by this industry is mind-boggling. These are the companies in the running for the award for safer handling of inbound and outbound materials. Ensuring that HGVs aren't driven off while site personnel were on top of the trailer to take and test a product sample.
This morning we're at Aggregate Industries Barden Hill Quarry. The asphalt business sells around about 1 million tonnes a year from here. We have laboratories and technicians and staff that will do quality control inspections and testing. That task is probably the most task that's done day in, day out at any unit within Aggregate Industries, and more so here with the volume, anywhere between 50, 60 plus trucks being inspected. But what happens now is driver will turn up to the weighbridge, they have the communication with the technician, they're then asked to put the key into a box, the door is then shut, the technician then presses then an isolation button, stops that door from being opened by the driver. Technician carries on the duties. Once the technician's finished, they press the button, the light goes green, the door opens, the driver can get his key, he shuts the door, we isolate it back, and then the driver proceeds off to the weighbridge for loading out.
Absolutely, I do feel safe now, and also I wanted to mention that we work for technical departments, so our main focus is quality and customer satisfaction, but we always have to make sure that, you know, safety goes first, a step back, stop and think, so the drivers now don't have to worry of like, oh, can I hear you, what you're saying, can I go now, should I stay, what should I do? We have that simple communication, then they have a reminder on the board, so they put the key into the locker, and then it's up to me when I have completed my whole task, I'm gonna give it back to them, and it's nice and easy. So yeah, I definitely feel safe now.
The need to thoroughly inspect all incoming tankers prior to discharge and loading, the company needed a safer way to access the top of the tankers.
We didn't have any safe access to the tops of the tankers to be able to access the full length of the tankers and all of the pots. We had a mobile access platform which would give you access to one pot but not all of them, and apart from that we were either relying on the handrail on one side of the tanker or the drivers wearing a harness when they're on top of the tankers.
So we wanted to try and find something that meant that essentially they didn't have to work at height, and we could try and do something, and the system we found was a box system with a cage, so the cage could be dropped on top of the tanker and they could work safely on top of the tanker and essentially not be at height, so there was no really way to fall.
So we identified this platform as a solution. We wanted a platform that would lower and raise off the backs off the tops of the trucks to give a safe full working platform across the entire length of the tanker.
So what happens on site, the driver will arrive, he'll go to customer services, a customer services representative or production, if it's a production truck, will escort the driver to the top of the tank, and he will basically inspect the tank and allow the driver to access the tank safely and control the system for him.
We can have any size tanker in Europe come to our site, so we needed to make sure it catered for all lengths of tankers. So we've got the moving gate. We then move that to the end of the tanker, so that we don't have a full risk there either. We also have a pretty simple key exchange interlock system installed on there, so they cannot come off the platform with it lowered, so they're not able to drive off and take the platform with them.
Designing a system that could be used to load materials onto curtain-sided trucks.
Problem we had was not being able to load taut liners efficiently. We couldn't load a taut liner with a scissor clamp because the scissor clamp wouldn't clear the pack of blocks without impacting the roof of the taut liner. In order to get around that, we have to prepare the load before the arrival of the vehicle, which means a number of manual handling movements, setting out pallets, prepping the load with blocks on pallets before the arrival of the truck. That adds additional safety implications to working in the yard. Then we had a thought and asked, is it possible to build a clamp that allows that part of the grab to retract out of the way, which would then allow us to lift the clamp higher and clear the blocks. The solution is very simple. We now have a retractable element on both of the grabs, which allows them to retract up out of the way with sufficient clearance to clear the top of the blocks without the clamp impacting the roof of the taut liner truck. After the design process was achieved, that seemed to be the simple part. The difficult part was the knowledge that added additional control requirements. Clearly the safety concern was incorrect selection of one of the controls, where from many years of operating in a standard way, through habit they make an incorrect selection, which could be pretty devastating. So we decided to go down the route of more instinctive and automated locking or selection protocols built into the control systems.
You've now seen the contenders for our first 4 awards. We will announce those winners later in the programme. Remember, for the entries, we're seeing just the highlights, and the full-length films from today will be online at the Safe Quarry website and on the MPA YouTube channel. It's time now to take a look at design. Today we're relaunching Safer by Design, the campaign to ensure that health and safety is built into the core design of the mobile and fixed plant used in the mineral products industry. Let's take a look.
In the past, many incidents have happened because the design of machinery and plant wasn't good enough for the job. The industry recognised that existing UK and European standards for mobile plant didn't go far enough.
Since 2012, when Safer by Design first came into the industry, yes, we've made some fantastic changes. You know, things, just simple things like making sure the steps are a consistent distance off the ground, or making sure we've got the right handrails, making sure that we've got right mirrors in place. What I would say is that sometimes the manufacturers don't move as quickly as we do, and on that basis really it comes down to us to spec it and keep pushing the manufacturers to make sure they're installing the most up-to-date systems on their plant equipment.
Further design improvements in mobile and fixed plant will have more potential to eliminate high-risk hazards predominantly associated with the fatal 6. Today, we're relaunching an updated and enhanced version of Safer by Design. This has been spearheaded by a working group of people with experience of all sectors of the industry.
The way that we've redesigned MPA Safer by Design for 2021 is there's more than one person going to need to access this information. So if you're looking to upgrade a machine, so you've got a quarry manager, a site manager, they can go in and look at what we believe is the preferred specification for that piece of plant, first of all. It may be the fact that the purchasing department or a regional manager is going to buy some new equipment and wants to see what the standard specification is. So whether you're doing an audit check against what you have already, or whether you want a specification sheet for a particular piece of equipment, you can easily select loading shovel, large, etc., and it will give you the printout potentially to give to the Caterpillars or the Volvos or whichever manufacturer you wish to get a specification and price from. There's new technology, there's a new emphasis, and I think the largest element of the redesign comes in that with the Fatal 6 and also the broad church of members, we've got to start looking at other parts and other segments of the MPA. So machinery such as chippers, pavers in the road surfacing area of the business, grab trucks, reach trucks, etc., and forklift trucks in precast members in blocks and curb. So now is the time to go through that revision process and update it for the new technology and raise the standard. That's really why we needed to go back and look through it. I think the main benefits are twofold. The first one is the fact that we're attempting yet again to raise the standards within the industry. Incidents with mobile plant and machinery have not gone away, unfortunately. And I think the second part is the fact we want to give a tool which is more versatile and user-friendly to the people that are operating and buying the machines.
To the Health and Safety Awards. The next two categories highlight some tremendous work being done in the transport arena. Again, these awards link back to Vision Zero. The aim is for everyone to be safe and well every day, and for this industry to take action to help stop injuries and fatalities. These awards recognise what's being done to enhance the safety of the deliveries made off-site to customers. First, the nominees for safer transport and logistics. Improving road safety and reducing the risk of vehicle collisions with vulnerable road users.
We risk profiled our transport division and found that we was covering 22 million road miles per year, and that occupational road risk was one of the biggest risks. We installed something called a predictive side scan, which basically detects person, cyclists, motorcyclists, anything like that from a distance from behind the vehicle and coming up the inside of it. It's a lot more intuitive. It stops some of the annoyance that old sensors used to have. Obviously, if you were driving around, they'd pick up anything basically on the inside.
The problem with the old ones was they went off all the time, and you'll be driving along and it'd be just going off all the time, obviously, and then when something did come up, your head's thinking there's nothing there.
So from the back of the lorry, from about a distance of about 3 feet away, the sensors start picking up a moving object. As that object travels along the side of the vehicle, each of the other sensors is picking up the movement of what's happening. Algorithm detects whether there's going to be a collision, then it will alert the driver in cab. It can be retrofitted to all vehicles. The plan at the moment is to get this added to all of our fleet over the next year.
The predictive side scanners are made by Brigade, and yeah, they're brilliant. You know what I mean? It is like having somebody sitting there. It does help you so much. This is their fandangled thing, do you know what I mean? And fair play to them, they've done the business.
A training and awareness programme developed to inform on the causes of vehicle rollovers and what can be done to prevent incidents. At CEMEX across Europe, the Middle East and Africa, there have been a number of serious concrete mixer rollovers in recent years. There have been fatalities or serious injuries to drivers, third parties or members of the public. Analysis at CEMEX showed that rollovers weren't confined to concrete mixers, but happened more generally to heavy goods vehicles. In response, CEMEX made a short but comprehensive training film to raise both awareness and remind drivers and supervisors of the hazards and risks of vehicle rollovers. Training materials promoted meaningful dialogue and discussion, and the format was designed to be easily understood. There are now translations in 11 languages, which have been shared across CEMEX and the wider industry. Research and analysis of vehicle rollovers was undertaken with both CEMEX's own fleet and contract and franchise drivers. Statistics were gathered on frequency of incidents, vehicle type, load configuration, causation and road conditions. Drivers shared their knowledge about the root cause of incidents, and driver trainers contributed to the design stage of the programme. The management team backed the programme from day one as it spread across CEMEX in the UK to a regional campaign embracing the rest of Europe, the Middle East and Africa. It's now shared with MPA members and has become the basis of a new MPQC module. The film is available on YouTube and has had almost 8,000 views. using technology to help identify driver actions and unsafe behaviours.
So part of our big 10 in 10 is obviously commitment to safety. Occupational road risk is one of those 10. There are massive risks out there within the business, and we drive big heavy trucks in London. We had numerous incidents of which we thought were excessive, so we wanted to look at alternative solutions and innovation, see what was out in the marketplace. We went out to the marketplace for telematic providers, which give us sort of a lot more information and data sort of regarding the vehicle, how it's been driven. What these two providers had was AI technology cameras, which not only look at the road in front and what the vehicle is doing and how it's being driven, it also looks at the driver. AI cameras, they give you information that you program into them. It detects the movement, the exact movement that thousands of people have done to obviously train the camera to say this is the person having a cigarette, and this is a person eating, this is a person on the phone. So all that information is fed back via these cameras, because these cameras just learn, they're learning all the time of what people are doing. As soon as it picks up, within a couple of seconds, that has been reported back to us by way of a text, an email. It also pulls back 10 seconds of the footage to show you, so that's live footage coming back. So we don't have to wait for somebody to then stop, pick the phone up, report something, do a defect sheet. It's all that information is coming back to us live. So that gives us real-time information and data for us to act upon. It lets us know whether the drivers are driving good, bad, whether the vehicles are being driven in the right manner. It also gives us visibility of what's going on the roads, which we didn't really have before. So this is probably just a highlighting to our drivers to say, look, this is a little bad habit. Obviously, are you aware of this? Half of them are not even aware that they've done it. So then you show it and say, well, wow, I didn't know I was doing that. The information we've got and the change that we've already seen in our drivers, it's huge. It's over 50% improvement from all the drivers. So just that alone, surely it's got to obviously reduce the risk that we've got on the roads.
Reducing hazards when connecting the electrical and pneumatic lines between tractor units and trailers.
So the issue that was highlighted was the task of coupling and uncoupling the trailer. This isn't a task that happens very often. Most of the time the tractor unit carries the same trailer and they stay on the back until there is a problem with either. So it's not a task that happens on a regular basis. So when it does happen, the driver has to get up onto the back of the vehicle and undo the couplings on the trailer, which consist of air and electric couplings. We had an incident with one of our drivers where he actually got injured while he was undertaking this task. He hurt his lower back where he was bent over, coupling up the couplings where they were on the bottom of the chassis, and he hurt his lower back while he was doing that.
We are swapping the trailers not that often, and sometimes the Suzies could get seized up, and you really have to apply the big pressure to the Suzie, obviously, and unfortunately that day it happened to me.
Really, we wanted to, if we follow true health and safety principles, what we really want to do is eliminate it.
We came up with this idea of raising the height of the couplings by adding a frame which is just bolted onto the trailer that raises the height, puts the driver in a much better position to put the couplings on. The feedback was excellent, and we then decided to roll it out on our whole trailer fleet, and it will now be part of our trailer spec going forward on any new trailers we have coming onto the fleet.
I was quite impressed, and to be honest, I was quite very happy because every single driver now going to have a new frame and don't going to injure themselves as well. So that was spot on.
And we'll hear who the winners are later. We've had some terrific entries from members of British Precast and the Mineral Products Association for these awards. And remember, all these awards today highlight the work that's being linked to Vision Zero, and especially that unrelenting determination to eliminate the incidents that can kill or seriously harm people. Next, we take a look at the award for safer operations at contracting, construction and customer sites. This topic includes the health and safety challenges that can be faced by operators working on construction sites or undertaking roadworks close to traffic. telescopic connectors, eliminating the hazards associated with installation of precast landings. The post-fixing of steel support angles to support precast stair landings typically involves work at height, drilling a large number of holes and use of a crane. Operators are exposed to a range of risks, including falls, RCS dust exposure, high noise levels and hand-arm vibration. But Invisible Connections has developed a system of telescopic connectors that eliminate almost all the health and safety risks associated with installing precast landings and stairways. Installation isn't as physically demanding for workers, and the installation process is more simple, which means far fewer things go wrong. Landings and stairs take a fraction of the time to install, enabling earlier use of the cores for general access around the site. This also helps to minimise the use of narrow and steep temporary stairs or ladders. The use of telescopic connectors also helps structural safety. Robustness compliance is inherent in the design, a major plus for structural engineers. Eliminating the hazards associated with conventional labour-intensive manual construction of retaining walls, particularly on difficult, restricted or sloping sites. Reducing the manual handling risks involved in handling large quantities of heavy paving materials.
So 2 years ago we risk profiled the company, and I was tasked with risk profiling term maintenance, which has 13 boroughs. So we went round to each borough and we risk profiled the manual handling activities, and we worked out that in excess of 7 million manual handling activities were carried out each year. So depending on what borough you're working in will depend on what slabs you're actually laying. They could be varied sizes and different weights, anything from 43 kg all the way up to about 98 kg. In term maintenance, this is what we do, we lay paving. What they would normally do is they would place the concrete slab on a sack barrow and wheel it into place and then lay it by hand. There's an issue within the industry with regards to manual handling and the way that the slabs are laid. So if we was to do it manually, obviously you're looking at the fatigue of the operative, occupational health, which is manual handling as well, and the cause of trapped fingers. We had to come up with an idea of eliminating that manual handling for the operatives. So we actually went up to Probst and we worked with them to get the device in. It's called the Donkey. We didn't make up the name, and it's a simple bit of kit, and once we showed it to some of the operatives and trialled it, they're the ones using it, it was a win. It's based on a lever, so it would lift up the paving slab on a lever, and the operatives would then wheel it into place and lay the actual concrete slab. So the Transmobile is something that we've got into the business. So it's based around a vacuum. You'd pick up the paving slab and it is on a tract, so you would actually track it into the place that you need, and then you would lay this slab into position. So when we got it on London Bridge, they laid in excess of 100 square metres. So we've eliminated over 3 million manual handling activities.
And we'll announce those winners shortly, so stand by for that. We're going to take a look at leadership now. There's no point in having rigorous standards and working practices in place if the bosses aren't active and engaged with the workforce and focused on creating a culture where health and safety is genuinely the top priority. The workforce have got to feel safe that they can challenge leaders if they're concerned about health and safety issues. And this is about leaders generating a culture where people feel comfortable challenging what's actually happening. Let's take another look at the strategy and values. To deliver Vision Zero, leaders need to be committed to improving their skills and they need to update their health and safety knowledge. And this is where the MPA's Safer and Healthier by Leadership programme comes in.
Safer and Healthier by Leadership has been tailor-made for the mineral industry and is designed to develop world-class health and safety performance. It's been created by MPA members and is popular with leaders and managers and with employees wanting to progress into those roles. To date, more than 400 delegates have attended these workshops, which are run for the MPA by Darren Broadhead of Broadhead Global, a well-known and respected health and safety champion in this industry.
I think for a very long time we viewed health and safety as purely a very practical, sort of tactical, technical subject. And I think one of the great things that this brings is a realisation that actually this is a strategic issue. You know, it must fit into your values, into your vision, into your recruitment, into your induction. So we've gone from it being purely a practical matter, which is important, don't get me wrong, to actually really seeing it as having a home right throughout the organisation. This all fits in with the core values of the MPA. It's centred around leadership. It has to start there. Strong leadership behaviour, clear leadership behaviour sets the tone for the organisation. So the feedback from participants has been excellent, and we really do have a diverse range of participants, from business directors, managing directors, operations directors, HR managers, and their feedback is wow. We actually worked out how this genuinely was a strategic issue, a business issue, and not just some practical stuff which we couldn't really work out what he wanted us to do with it. So yeah, tremendous feedback. The best one we've maybe seen this year is the gentleman who said to us, look, 40 years of doing this, nobody else has ever made it this clear. We like those days.
The content as part of the course was really engaging and it really far outweighed my expectations. I think sometimes there can be a bit of a myth that health and safety can be a bit dull and a bit kind of a tick box exercise, but the way that the course was conducted was really engaging, really insightful. I think the benefit is hugely in that regardless of what position you are in the business or kind of what your job role entails, it's everybody's responsibility to manage health and safety. And I think that really needs to come from the top. A lot of health and safety, it's lead by example and it's about culture. And for me, working in marketing, it's so important to drive that culture and the brand, and part of that is health and safety for us.
Breedon, one of the leading construction materials companies in the UK and Ireland, has embraced this new leadership education.
Breedon looked at the Safer and Healthier by Leadership programme as a really useful tool. Why did we go down that journey? We needed to refresh the training for our senior managers. It's accredited by IOSH. It's a really pucker top-level course directed at middle and senior managers. It goes in great detail about leadership and your actions within the business and how you can affect the safety of your operations. And it gives them an insight into cultural safety and behavioural safety and where their businesses can improve and move forward. So to us, it was a logical and sensible choice. We put a lot of commitment behind it. All of our senior leadership teams across our GB materials and cement businesses and our Irish businesses all were engaged with the process, and we found it thoroughly useful. The benefits we've seen is the fact, first, initially after the course, when you're starting to get people saying, oh, I really enjoyed that, and I'm from a functional background, I didn't realise how I could affect safety. This has given me some ideas and tools as to how I can engage with my own department. So the initial feedback was very positive, both on the content, the way it was delivered, but what it also gave them is a tool to be able to start doing something differently within their segment of our business. So whether it was a particular program that you were going to undertake, whether you were looking at reward and recognition, or whether it was something about hazard awareness in the workplace, everybody took away something from the training course. And that's when you know that you've got through to the person you're trying to train.
Safer and Healthier by Leadership is equipping senior managers with enhanced leadership skills, improved knowledge, and is challenging their existing thinking. It's a supportive environment amongst peers. The workshops are improving skills and making this industry healthier and safer for everyone.
Our next two award categories focus on initiatives to improve the health and well-being of the workforce. These are company-wide programmes which enhance skills, change behaviour and improve health and well-being. Let's hear from the nominees for the award for Safer through improvements in health and well-being. Managing the periodic cement plant shutdowns, which involve a large number of contractors being on site together over many weeks within the constraints of the COVID pandemic.
We had many levels of COVID control around site. The first thing was we set up a COVID testing centre, which included the lateral flow tests, and those were provided for every single person who entered site.
4 nurses attending from IDC. The negative test will allow them to come and work on site for a week.
We also then implemented a daily check which involved temperature checks and ensuring people had no COVID symptoms. We implemented social bubbles or working bubbles. Social distancing was always our primary control with all individuals on site. We did have certain circumstances where that 2-metre rule could not be achieved, so every single person had to wear a medical mask, and this was our number one form of PPE. So each contractor generally bring their own welfare facilities onto site, but this year we had to increase the amount of welfare facilities.
For safety reasons, they all had to be segregated, so each company had its own dedicated welfare facilities.
We was always conscious that maintaining the standard was fundamental, so we set up an electronic phone app which allowed us to complete live inspections and audits on a day-to-day, and these was analysed at the start of
every morning to identify any areas of improvement. Everybody felt that there was being the levels of safety and COVID was being maintained. The actual comments were that they feel safer at work than they do at home. We got through 3 major shutdowns without any single case of COVID transmission.
Live PM10 monitoring. The delay in obtaining data from traditional personal dust exposure monitoring meant that it was difficult to pinpoint specific sources and problem areas.
We made a look about what equipment was available that could monitor PM10 levels live. So Andy Jackson, our quarry operations manager, found the equipment, and we installed one for a trial at one location. And since then we've put another one at the other location that we can have problems with. And since then it's given us data that we can work with every minute of every day now. But it also gives us set points that it can automatically notify us if we're approaching limits that would take us in exceedance of our of the level we want to be at. Now that's okay while we're all here in the daytime, or we're all able to respond quickly, but also it monitors 24/7. So if we were to get an issue in the middle of the night, we have CCTV set up, and at any point we can review that footage and see if we can pinpoint any spot dust sources that may have caused that short-term breach. And so coupled with a weather station, we can record all that data as well, so we get the entire picture of why we had elevated levels at that one point, and then take action to solve it. And all in all, we've managed to go from having a number of issues per month to when the equipment went live in April, we haven't had a single exceedance at all at any of the locations.
The potential for the presence of chromium-6 in cement production and the risk of personal exposure wasn't very well recognised or assessed.
Back in 2019, the MPA Health and Safety Committee shared a research paper from a research company in Europe that highlighted the potential for chromium-6 deposits to be found on internal components of cement kilns and process equipment. Chromium-6 is a very harmful substance. It can cause, amongst other things, serious lung disease, lung cancers. Although it wasn't an issue that was believed to be present, because of this research paper, it triggered all the cement companies within the UK to start a journey towards identifying it, locating it, and then managing the issue. So the first exercise was, do we have any chromium-6 compounds on our internal components? So Socotec came along, took about 90 swabs, and that gave us some data. So throughout that exercise, it identified chromium-6 in one particular location, and so that enabled us then to start developing a safe system of work for the next major repair, which was a few months down the line. So during the second shutdown, we invited Socotec back to do some air monitoring to try and quantify the amount, and the results of which again confirmed it was just this one location. However, potential exposure, airborne dust, was quite significant. Our main concern really was respiratory protective equipment. So we've actually purchased on behalf of our contractors some Airstream air-fed helmets. We own them, we maintain those, and we supply those to our contractors. You know, we all work together for health and safety. It's all about sharing that information.
Creation of an OHWB Learning Centre at the Park, a big step forward in managing and raising awareness on occupational health and well-being.
The impact of occupational health issues are not immediately obvious to lots of people. They will be the long-term issues that become apparent after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line.
We've got to make sure that people have the awareness to be able to use the appropriate controls to protect them in our sector. So a hands-on way of doing it is the best way, because if you look at the different learning styles and how people learn, the hands-on practical element is key. This is a space that we created earlier on this year, and it's to bring alive the awareness around some of the occupational hazards that our employees will encounter when working on our sites.
So we've got 6 stations in total, just to look at different elements of occupational health and the impacts that a person's role might have on their health and the kind of activities they're involved in, the health hazards that they might be exposed to at work, which we need to protect them against.
So there'll be some online resources that they can tap into, but also learn by the equipment that we've got on display as well.
The site station, for example, there's different sets of goggles that people can put on to help them understand different visual issues that might happen. Mental health is obviously something that is really important. We've done a lot of work with Mates in Mind. So we have in this room a dedicated mental health zone. It's a sort of a chill out area where people can go and have a chat. Saving Steve is something that Matt Gibbs and I have been working on. So the idea is that we had a game that kind of brought to life some of the occupational health issues. So the central character is a guy called Steve. So he's been working in the industry all his life, and you look at the hazards that he's been exposed to, you look at what can be done to control those hazards, and the idea being at the end of the game, if you've got all the controls right, you will have got Steve to his 60th birthday party.
What we try to provide here is a real experience, so they're not just coming for a training course, they're coming for that experience and they go away with some learns, and the feedback that we've had from this facility has been phenomenal.
Stand by shortly to hear who's won. The Safer Together Award is next, and like the previous award, this one again highlights people taking action. People working hard to implement company-wide health and safety programmes. Here are the contenders. Recognising that training has normally been focused on technical skills and younger people didn't always produce a fully competent operator.
So it's a bespoke training programme that was developed for Tarmac. It encompasses all of the knowledge and skills behaviour that you need to be a skilled, safe operative within our business. So this is a purpose-built facility here at the National Skills and Safety Park. It gives the operatives an opportunity to improve their knowledge, skills and behaviour that's required to be the best they can be in their role. We look at some of the technical and practical aspects of what they do, so it's a very hands-on approach as well as blended with the classroom-based learning, and they take some of that classroom-based learning back out to their own sites to apply it practically and provide us with feedback on how they're doing through their coursework. So the great thing about this programme is it is geared up around the health and safety elements of an operative within our business. So it's been designed by industry people to allow them to focus on improving their knowledge around health and safety, how that is practically on the site.
As a woman, I'm very proud to be the first person to complete my PODP apprenticeship, and I would eagerly encourage any other female who wants to do this course to do it.
So some of the practical modules that we've developed as part of this programme link directly to the MPA's Fatal 6. So we have a module that's specifically dedicated to isolation, where the learners get out and they get to see an isolation board, they get to simulate isolation so they can be as safe as possible when they're out on our sites. We've also got an occupational health module which links to covering silica dust and protecting our learners' lungs and making sure that they're safe. And we've also got another module that's linked to working at heights, again another one of the Fatal 6.
Having the opportunity to undertake an apprenticeship in that very structured way is something that's quite unique. It's relatively new to our sector. Tarmac have engaged really well with that. They've proved that it can work. Not only are they getting good quality, well-trained operators, There are lots of other benefits to putting people through the process. They've proved in itself that the programme will work.
How to ensure health and safety focus is on the high consequence hazards.
So the big 10 in 10 all started when we were looking at our accident statistics, and our accident statistics were pretty good. I mean, they were world class. In 2017 we won the John Crabbe Trophy, but despite all of that we just felt that there was something missing. And so what we've done a deep dive into understanding the risk profile of our business, and what we found was quite alarming. We found that annually there were 10 big risks that were readily occurring on a regular basis. What was even more concerning, that when we actually risk profiled those, we found that in the course of 1 year, for one company, FM Conway, there was the potential for 112 million life-changing harm or fatal accidents could potentially occur. When we looked at the hierarchy of control, the application of the hierarchy of control was too behaviourally focused. And so what we done was we flipped it on its head, and we had a complete focus, an unrelenting approach to eliminate, substitute or engineer out those hazards, put those controls in place that even if two people do fail in terms of making the wrong decision, etc., that they fail safely. So the big 10 in 10 is obviously 10 big risks, as we've already said, but the strategy is laid out over a 10-year period. So each of the big 10 in 10 has a safety group, a safety or health and safety group. Within each of those groups, looking at their specific hazard, so for example confined space entry, they will look for a solution obviously to eliminate, substitute or engineer out. So just to give you an example, the confined space team have actually eliminated 4,000 entries into the confined space, because if you don't have to put a person down there, then obviously the risk is eliminated.
A single joined up system for SHEQ within a large and diverse organisation.
During the early stage of the first lockdown of COVID, we engaged with a lot of our managers, and we were saying to these managers, what things frustrate you? Why can't you find certain documents? Are you struggling to find certain things? And what these guys really needed at operational level was a hub where they could find pretty much anything they wanted to around the subjects of health, safety, well-being, sustainability, training and quality. The intention was to get to what you really wanted with as few clicks as possible, keeping it simple. So the format, as you see, you've got some 6 main tiles on there. If we take, for instance, the health and safety tab, we're clicking on that health and safety tab and immediately you've got a sub-level. So what we're looking for again for the site manager is the fact I don't want to go looking between tiles, I don't want to go to different places for things. So all of the health and safety related documentation is held within one area. We could create this with our managers' heads in mind. And I think the additional advantage for us is the fact that because it's so easy to administrate, as far as say an SME is concerned, it's low cost, it's easy for people to set up. Literally, I uploaded somewhere in the region of 500 to 600 documents, photographs and bits and pieces in a couple of 3 hours on a Wednesday night during lockdown or whatever. Once the framework of the system is done, there's no licensing, there's no maximum or minimum number of users. Everybody in the organisation can see the information. We are taking workload off site managers who we don't want in front of a laptop all the time. That gives them more time to get out into the workplace, looking for unsafe acts, looking for unsafe conditions, and helping safety drive forward.
You've now seen all the nominees in all 8 of our award categories. Not long now until we hear who our winners are. Also coming up, we'll have the Euro Bitume Award, the Fatal 6 Award and the Individual Recognition Awards, including our Young Leaders. Look out too for those Premier Awards, the John Crabbe Trophy and the Sir Frank Davies Trophy. Remember, for the entries, we're just seeing the highlights. All the full-length films from today will be online on the Safe Quarry website and on the MPA YouTube channel. Well, next we focus on road safety. Sadly, around 10% of fatalities involving workers or contractors in this industry have been as a result of road accidents. That's why the Mineral Products Association and British Precast have made tackling road accidents, one of the fatal 6, a real priority.
The mineral products and precast sector uses a huge fleet of vehicles. Road safety is a priority for the industry. Every day, tons of material are handled and transported by moving vehicles to help build our homes, hospitals, roads, schools and offices. But many of these journeys take place on already busy and congested roads, and sometimes in difficult driving conditions. We've already seen today entries into our awards that have improved road safety for people working in this industry and give greater protection to pedestrians. There are many more initiatives by this industry aimed at making our roads safer. Thousands of drivers have been trained and drivers' handbooks have been produced and updated to help with vital road safety information and guidance about statutory duties for safe driving at work. And finally, the Mineral Products Qualifications Council has developed the pioneering MP Connect is a modern and comprehensive card system. Drivers and contractors are advised to carry their MP Connect cards when visiting sites and when transporting material. The card can be swiped and read on a card reader or mobile phone and carries a complete record of a driver's or contractor's credentials and working achievements. It includes details of training courses and current certificates and qualifications. MP Connect is a one-card solution that's helping to create a safer and healthier working environment and is helping to put road safety at the heart of the working day. MP Connect Drivers is strongly recommended for adoption by MPA members.
The MP Connect card helps a great deal because you're not having all different cards for each induction. It's where it's electronically accessible, so when they arrive at site, the card's swiped, the person on the weighbridge is able to see if they've had an induction, so that cuts down on time for us. It's much more efficient time-wise then as well.
And that film really does demonstrate the key message from today, that everyone is safer by sharing and safer by action. Time now to reveal our winners. Choosing winners at these awards is such a tough task for our judges, and in many ways everyone's a winner because of the brilliant work that is being done to make the workplace healthier and safer. Here are the companies who are judged to be extra special. Ladies and gentlemen, our winners.
Safer production. Aggregate industries. Safer maintenance and housekeeping. Mansfield Sand. Safer management of pedestrians and transport. Aitchison and Glover. Safer handling of inbound and outbound materials. Imerys Illuminates. Safer transport and logistics. FM Conway. Safer operations, contracting, construction and customer. Invisible Connections. Safer through improvements in health and well-being. Tarmac. Safer together. tarmac.
Huge congratulations to all our winners and well done to everyone who was nominated. Every single one of you is making the workplace safer by sharing, safer by action. Again, congratulations to all of you. And at this point, we also have a special award that recognises outstanding work in the contracting and asphalt sectors. This year's Eurobitume Award goes to FM Conway. Well done to the FM Conway team, the winners of the Eurobitume Award. Time now to discover who's won the Fatal 6 Award. Now this recognises exceptional innovation, the very best action that's been taken to eliminate a high consequence hazard associated with the Fatal 6. Before we do that, let's hear from Carl Platt, Chairman of the MPA Health and Safety Committee, about why the Fatal 6 is so important.
I think we focusing on the Fatal 6. The clue is in the description. They are the 6 areas where we have seen historical fatalities. So, we want to mitigate these high consequence hazards that we see in our industry, and these are the 6 key areas that we want to work at as an industry, as companies, as an association to eradicate them from our industry going forward. My key objective here is Vision Zero, to promote that. It is possible. We do see that in many companies, many sites, many plants, many businesses across, and also to focus on the Fatal 6 as well and try and work together as an industry, pull together to make our industry safe and desirable and world class.
Thanks very much to Carl. Now, the judges said it's really positive that we've seen so many companies embracing the Fatal 6. Companies are adapting or developing to make sure the Fatal 6 is working effectively. One company stood out and has already been a contender in most categories. The winner of the Fatal 6 Award for the Big 10 in 10 is FM Conway. Well done to the team. Of course, at the heart of the awards today are people, outstanding people who work in the industry, represented by the Mineral Products Association and British Precast. The industry wants its people to be safe and healthy, and in turn, it's the people in this industry who help to make that happen. Let's meet the people who receive this year's awards for individual recognition. Exceptional people come from all sectors and work in a variety of roles. But the one thing they all have in common is that they've all made a significant contribution to health and safety. Congratulations to all our individual recognition winners, people making a difference by sharing and taking action. Well, let's look to the future now. This is where we honour the young people making careers in the mineral and precast industry. These are the young people who are helping to shape health and safety now and in the future.
Throughout my time at Halkin, I improved communication on site by implementing the Plan, Do, Check, Act meetings every single week. I provided support for the team with a focus on mental health in the workplace, and during the pandemic, I volunteered to be COVID coordinator, taking control of implementing and enforcing CEMEX protocols on site. And with the support of the team, we kept everyone safe during the pandemic.
I'd say my best characteristic is that I'm a fast learner. I'm someone who likes the challenges and pressures of the industry, and I'm driven to overcome those challenges. I like the fact that I'm able to challenge the status quo about how things have already been done and try and enact change across not just one site but multiple sites. My ambition in the industry is to get myself into a position of seniority in order to support the industry moving towards a greener, more carbon neutral business model. I'd like to be in a position to help lead the strategy and really find a way for Tarmac and the industry to hit those sort of targets in net zero.
I love being an integrated member of the team, and I love helping others to learn and learning from them also. I'm not afraid of change, and I like to think that I'll ask the hard questions for the right reasons.
Over the past 2 years, I've grown in confidence, taking on responsibilities of supervising the logistical side of Toolworks Railhead, as well as managing projects for Westleigh Quarry. I love the variety. Every day is different, and being a hire apprentice with Aggregate Industries means I get the hands-on experience I require to further my career.
I think my best achievement on site has been to help improve the health and safety culture through visual controls and safety messaging. And in the future, I would like to further my career in health and safety and help implement what we have done here at Sittingbourne throughout the business.
I'm proud of progressing within the industry as General Management graduate and taking on the role of Shift Manager at Whitwell Quarry. What I love most about my job as Shift Manager is being out and about in the quarry and making a real difference. My ambition is to continue to learn and develop within the industry and progress into higher management roles.
It would be the camaraderie that we have on site and the collaboration that we take to achieve our goals and overcome our issues that we have on site on a daily basis. We work well together, we implement our ideas, and it's a good environment to be in. It's a good environment to start out in as a young lad. Proudest moment so far in my career would be the implementation of one of my ideas and seeing the positive impact that it had for my guys. Such a simple change in bringing in a remote control, and it's made his life so much better and easier, his work life.
How on earth do you pick a winner from those amazing young people? The judges have had such a difficult job in this category. Our runner-up is Oliver Keeble from Tarmac. Oliver impressed the judges with his positive attitude, leading from the front, and his approachability. In particular, the judges were impressed with his work on isolation and control at Whitwell Quarry. He's shown courage and professionalism, teaching and retraining others irrespective of their length of service. Very well done to you, Oliver. Congratulations. And now to our winners. Yes, winners. We've got 2 young leader winners. They are George Beer from Wainwrights and Philippa O'Leary from Cemex. The judges were impressed by George's outstanding work on championing safety and empowerment and transparency. He's passionate about safety improvements and ensuring compliance for ISO accreditation. He takes time to check contractor working practices, identifying shortfalls. He has the professionalism to stop, challenge, monitor and then improve future safe working by implementing mid-task checks. Well done to you, George. Absolute top work. And the judges said Philippa was fantastic during COVID-19, especially at Cemex's Halkin Quarry, while operating with a depleted management team. Philippa was instrumental in guiding the teams through protocols. She put in measures to ensure COVID safety and drove compliance. And Philippa was the anchor and support for staff during some really tough times. Philippa continually improved health and safety, environmental standards and collaboration. Well done to you as well, Philippa, and a top job to all the exceptional young people working in this industry. And now to the Sir Frank Davies Trophy. Frank was chairman of the Health and Safety Commission for 6 years in the 1990s. For this award, the judges were looking for a company with fewer than 250 employees that demonstrated outstanding health and safety performance. A company that epitomised the theme of the awards today, safer by sharing, safer by action. There were 6 nominations in this category, and it was great to see how their entries reflected the Vision Zero values and the determination to eliminate the fatal 6 from their business. Once again, the judges had a difficult task and decided to make 2 awards. The first is a special award to Den Fine Stone, a family business with 16 employees. What impressed our judges was how they've embraced a programme of continuous improvement and investment to tackle RCS reduction, pedestrian and transport management, and to eliminate machinery entrapment with a robust isolation and lock-off programme. Well done to the team at Den Fine Stone. We do have one more special award. The MPA would like to recognise a company for its outstanding contribution to the industry in helping to raise the standards in health and safety. The strength of a trade association is determined by the contribution made, of course, by its members, and this is especially true of health and safety. And with our theme, Safer by Sharing, Safer by Action, this couldn't be more relevant. The MPA Special Award goes to Cemex. Cemex has maintained a consistently high performance in health and safety and has been generous in sharing its resources, expertise and support with other MPA members. Now to the winner of the Sir Frank Davies Trophy. Our winner is Mansfield Sand. The judges were impressed by Mansfield Sand's journey following an incident in 2017. The company has been on an impressive path to health and safety improvement. This has included training, the use of safety culture surveys, and their Think Safe, Work Safe, Home Safe strategy. They've focused on the Fatal 6 and their golden rules. The company is also actively involved in both the MPA and British Precast working groups. Here's the Mansfield Sand Managing Director, Richard Abraham.
So we run health and safety meetings every month with management meetings as well as the on-site meetings that we have. We have safety reps that are obviously present on site. It's important that we get the interaction from everybody on site as well. The independence trust that comes with this, we're going to make sure that our employees entrust us to make the right decisions, and we trust them to do that as well. I think it's hugely important. The near-hit reporting process has been hugely important, that we actually investigate as if it was an accident based on a near hit. So by doing that, hopefully we can eliminate accidents from happening. Obviously everyone wants to say it's fantastic, but it truly is. We've come on such a journey over the last few years, taking Graham on as our health and safety manager. That's been obviously a fantastic thing for us to do.
Health and safety is priority. Basically we've empowered the employees to make that decision. You know, if it doesn't feel safe, you stop. You tell us that this isn't safe, and we'll come and have a look at it. It'll be fantastic for the company to be able to say that they've won an MPA significant award. We're a small, medium-sized enterprise, with only 78 employees, and over the last 4 years we've done a lot of work, and to have that recognised by the MPA would be fantastic.
Many congratulations to the team at Mansfield Sand. Well done. Now to the prestigious John Crabbe Trophy. This is named after John Crabbe, who was a well-known and highly respected health and safety inspector. This award highlights a company considered to be the very best of the best, a company that's at the top of its game in health, safety and well-being. There were 11 nominations for this award, and the judges were impressed with the quality of all the entries. The judges selected 3 organisations as finalists. Breedon for their engagement with MPA safety and their engagement with Safer and Healthier by Leadership. Cemex for strong health and safety leadership and cross-industry initiatives. And their Safety Essentials Take 5, which helped workers in the COVID pandemic. And FM Conway for a superb set of entries that have been recognised in most of the 8 topics, all based around their Big 10 in 10 strategy. The winner of the John Crabbe Trophy is Breedon, and here's Breedon CEO Rob Wood.
Thank you. I gratefully accept the John Crabbe Award on behalf of Breedon. It's great to be recognised for what we have been doing at Breedon in respect of health, safety and well-being over the last few years. Over this period, we have integrated several acquisitions and have always been willing to embrace good practice whenever we have found it. We have made progress on protocols, on standards and on training. And I would like to thank the Breedon team for all they have done to date. But we have much more to do, particularly in respect of the cultural and behavioural aspects of health, safety and well-being. We are on a journey. Our goal is to send our colleagues home safe and well every day. Within Breedon, we recognise that all risks are not equal, and our efforts are focused on addressing those risks that could lead to the most serious outcomes. Our approach is aligned to the Fatal 6, and we are fully committed to the MPA's initiative. We look forward to working with the MPA and the industry going forward to improve our industry's health and safety performance and to ensure that we don't forget about the importance of well-being. Lastly, we must not overlook the role contractors and suppliers play and need to play in keeping the industry safe. We will celebrate the moment and thank you again on behalf of Breedon for the award.
Once again, congratulations to all our winners. We've seen some exceptional work and determined action by this industry to tackle the Fatal 6. Ideas and solutions that follow the strategy set out by Vision Zero to ensure that everyone is safe and well every day. Remember, all the films from today will be online on the Safe Quarry website and on the MPA YouTube channel. Our thanks to Hills here at Shorncliffe Quarry in Gloucestershire for making us feel so welcome and for looking after us. Let's go back now to the Chief Executive of the MPA, Nigel Jackson.
I hope you will all agree with me that even though we had a pause last year, the industry's bounced back with vigour. The awards that you've seen celebrated and showcased today, I think are absolutely fantastic. And I think the reshaping of the scheme with the new categories has helped that process. I think we're at our best when we learn from each other. We're at our best when we share the best ideas. But we'll be even better if we convert those ideas into action. And therefore today's theme, Safer by Sharing, Safer by Action, couldn't be more appropriate if we are to achieve our joint aim of Vision Zero. And I'm convinced we're all on board with that project. I hope you've enjoyed today, and we look forward to seeing another bumper crop of great ideas, particularly from our young future leaders for next year. Thank you very much.